Everybody, this is Perch. We have a new Supergirl comic coming out. It's called Woman of Tomorrow. It's an 8 issue. It's kind of an odd 8 issue series, and it's coming out from Tom King, Bilquis Evely, Matthias Lopez, and it is promising a kind of true grit in space. Basically, Supergirl in a kind of fantasy western set in space. And as far as concepts go, that sounds reasonable and good. I think that a good Western kind of style story of revenge and everything else is it's a tried and true formula. It's tried and true because it often works, and it's one of those concepts that you can kind of go back to and you can redo over and over. We've seen a lot of films set in a variety of settings use kind of the Western concept, that kind of story and plot driver, to really kind of put out their story. So why not use it for comics? That seems like a good idea, and that is what they're doing here. And I'm going to read to you the kind of the elevator pitch. And as you'll hear, it sounds pretty reasonable, right? So the pitch is this: it's an alien girl seeks out Supergirl for a vicious mission. Her world has been destroyed. The bad guys responsible are still out there. She wants revenge, and if Supergirl doesn't help her, she'll do it herself, whatever the cost. Now, a Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry, heartbroken child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to their very core. So again, that this sounds like a kind of classic Western setup. Some kid who's clearly not capable of fighting kind of enemy hordes. The evil cowboys, the marauders, the bandits who come and kind of shot up the town, wants some revenge, wants some justice. The reluctant hero kind of takes on this quest, and they go solve things. So sounds perfectly reasonable. And Supergirl is a character. They haven't had a real mission or a mandate with what to do with her for a bit of time. We've seen her consumed with the Red Lantern ring, so consumed with rage. We then saw her consumed with the Batman who laughs, Joker, Batman who laughs, gas, whatever. Basically, turning evil there. So we've seen her kind of manipulated now multiple times, and a good solid adventure of her kind of helping a kid get justice and get some revenge is an interesting thing to do. Throw crypto in there. Who doesn't love crypto? Why not? It all works. So what could possibly go wrong here? Well, I didn't read you the entire pitch, and it's the first part of the pitch that fills me with a lot of concern for where this series is going to go, because it feels like it's going in the wrong direction with the character in a fairly major way. It's one of those cases where you take the most cynical possible view of the character, and then you build from that. And this has happened in the past. I remember there was a pitch that didn't get taken for Reed Richards, which was basically this obsessed with work narcissist who thinks only of himself, endangers his friends and family, permanently disfiguring them, and has to make amends while fighting his own scientific urges. If I described Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four to you that way, that sounds terrible, right? You can do the same thing with Spider-Man. You could say a selfish child who is not ready for the world at large and seeks only fame and attention, neglects his responsibility, killing a loved one, and now to make up for his guilt, has to fight crime and forever remember his tragedy. That also wouldn't be a fair description of Spider-Man. It's truthful to a sense, but it casts this dark, unnecessarily dark, depressing, uncomfortable, unlikable kind of pale on the character. So with Supergirl, just for reference, Supergirl was introduced back in the late 50s. And the character has done, I mean, a lot of things. She's had a number of adventures, kind of whimsical, silly, where she was trying to kind of keep her secret identity secret while her cousin was flying around as Superman. We've seen her kind of as being a little bit more space savvy, trying to find out her origins there. We've seen the movie that was absolutely terrible, but kind of this jokey version of the character. So we've seen a number of different takes on Supergirl. We've also seen Supergirl murdered in Crisis. We've seen a Supergirl have a horse who fell in love with her, and they actually attempted to have some kind of relationship. That's real. And so we've seen a lot of different versions of Supergirl. Generally, Supergirl, particularly through the kind of the 60s and the 70s, was kind of a cheerful character. Very much of the times. She didn't have that same kind of. She was trying to kind of prove herself as a heroine, but she wasn't. It wasn't this depressing kind of slog for her. She was generally considered more optimistic of a character, and that's why her death in the Crisis series was so shocking, because it was it was this moment where it was kind of the death of optimism. It was showing that this unbeatable character could be killed. So in this current version, here's the take. Kara Zor-El has seen some epic adventures over the years, but finds her life without meaning or purpose. All right, it's a little grim. I mean, seen some epic adventures, saved the world multiple times, but finds that her life has no meaning or purpose. That sounds like a depressing point for a hero to be in. And it's this line that to me indicates somebody took a left turn at really understanding the core of the character, which is this. Here she is, a young woman who saw her planet destroyed and was sent to Earth to protect a baby cousin, who ended up not needing her. What was it all for? Wherever she goes, people only see her through the lens of Superman's fame. That's a very weird take on the character on a couple levels. First off, that's probably the most cynical possible view of Supergirl. That her planet was destroyed, and so she came to Earth to protect her cousin, but her cousin ended up not needing her. First off, there's many comics where Supergirl saved Superman, where she was pretty important to kind of being able to complete the adventure and be successful. And if she wasn't around, Superman would have been killed. There's several adventures that go into that. She has saved the planet and stopped criminals hundreds, if not thousands of times completely on her own. She wasn't just kind of this backup to Superman. She had her own title that was successful for several years, and she's had many adventures that were kind of key to the universe. Now, granted, as I said at the beginning, we had a bad run, or not a bad run, but we had a run where she was kind of brainwashed multiple times. They went to that well too much. But in general, Kara she was a hero in her own right, and that was cool. Um, and then this last one, wherever she goes, people only see her through the lens of Superman's fame. I mean, really? First off, again, we've seen several stories already covering this where she had to kind of, I'm proving I'm my own hero. And she does. Many successful stories. Kurt Swan, who drew Supergirl like a bazillion times. I mean, it's like there's lots of adventures where she stands on her own. Definitely through the New 52 and through all these different kind of reboots, we've seen different takes on her. But it is, that's really a very stark, depressing, bad take on the character. So it's funny. And of course the common thread maybe here is Tom King, who does seem to enjoy and like the deconstruction of heroes. And that's really what it is. It's to take a character and let's deconstruct the character and provide them wrestling with depression or anxiety or feelings of self-worthlessness and what is going on here with this character. I just think it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary for Supergirl. I think she's got a nice history, tons of stuff to explore. I think it's kind of a disservice to a lot of writers who have told tales of her not only saving the planet, but standing on her own as a hero, as a champion. And so to kind of say, well, she has no point. Hell, in the Omniverse, she remembers all of these adventures she's had. It's all merged. She's got a full context of 60 years of, being a huge hero, being in the Legion of Superheroes. She's been on teams. She's done tons of things. But I think that the overall, this idea that we're going to set this adventure up of her being searching for identity, being depressed, feeling like she's a shadow. It's creating an unnecessary problem. It's saying we're going to start this series off with wiping out 80 to 90% of her comics and her appearances over the years. We're going to tell everyone that she is only seen through her cousin through Superman's eyes, which is not how the population of the DC universe sees her. They see her as a legitimate hero because of her power set. She is one of the most powerful people on the planet by a mile. You don't have to write her as a character who's seen this way. That's you, the writer, doing this. The readers have largely accepted the character. The universe, the fantasy world we're living in, has accepted the character. You're choosing to make her less, so you could put her through an adventure to maybe make her more. I mean, does this make the character more well-rounded, or does this actually damage and destroy the character itself? It seems like taking massive steps backward, and it comes from a place of just not getting the core character, which is baffling to me. Anyway, what do you think? Maybe I'm overreacting here. It's Supergirl. First of all, you're going to be reading this title. Doesn't this seem overly cynical to you? I don't get it myself. Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for listening.